Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Herschel Fruin from High School Top 200, and this is the Top 200 podcast. This is Friday morning, and we've already had a couple more games. We've already had a few games this week, and from some very big teams, teams that matter, obviously within the rankings, and the two of them are top 10 teams. We got two other games today, which is Fielding and Gisborne. They'll be playing in Hastings, and then the blood match, which is Waitaki Boys and St. Kevin's as well, and that one kicks off at 1:30. And I think the Hastings game is at 1 o'clock, which will be starting kind of around now when this thing gets out, I guess. But at the end of this, we'll have this. I'll be going with Fielding to win by quite a bit. Actually, they seem to stand up really well against Hastings, so I think they'll probably do it again against Gisborne. And then I'm going to pick Waitaki Boys to win that one. And, this is going to come out. Games are probably already going to be finished, but that's who I'm going to pick anyway. They had a few games the other day, which was Palmy Boys and Francis Douglas, which Palmy Boys won 36-10. And then Hastings beat out Lindisfarne in the end. And Lindisfarne has gone great over these past two games that they've had against top 25 teams with Hastings and Napier. And the Napier one, I was told that they should have won. It was a really bad day, the conditions were terrible and all that kind of stuff. But then they just managed to sort of dig deep and really push Napier right to the end of the game. And then this Hastings one as well. They also got into Hastings a bit. Hastings have some injuries, at least 4, I think, major injuries to starters. But I think Hastings should have the players to really step up and get in there. They are still trying a few things around within the Hastings squads, but I think the majority of it, they really have it down to what team that they're actually looking for and what team that they actually want to play. And so, I give it up to Lindisfarne for really taking it to them. And this is going to bode well for Lindisfarne, only because with the way that the competition is set up, where in the CNI they have a north and then a south, Lindisfarne is going to be part of the south. And then I know that they can beat St. John's, Hastings, as well as Rathkill, but this is really going to kick in when they have to play Whanganui Collegiate and also have to play Fielding High School. If they can knock one of those two off, then the season's going to look really good for them, and then they'll probably be able to get into the finals somehow, or else they'll have a shot to do that. And so, a big shout out to Lindisfarne and what they've been able to do and their coaching staff, because I know that a lot of the players have gone and they don't have a lot of returning players, but they have, I guess the ones that have returned have been able to stand up and really be able to lead these young guys, and then the young guys are also doing their part as well. The Palmy team is the one that I'm pretty interested in because of the size of the front row that they have and the guys that are in that team. And I have a feeling that if Palmy keep going the way that they are, and they keep developing, especially with that forward pack leading them, and then really getting that ball out into that midfield for Palmy, I have a feeling that they can knock off Hastings or Hamilton. And I have them ranked 3rd, so there's three Super 8 teams in the top 10, and I have them 3rd with Hastings and Hamilton ahead of them. But I am not counting out that Palmy can beat one of them, and by the way that they are playing, I really think that they can knock one of those teams off, and if they do, because I think that once Palmy comes up against one of them, whoever they play first, if they can knock off that one, I think that they have enough confidence to build up within themselves to knock off the next one. And so they just have to get that first one around, and then if they can get that win, I'm pretty confident that they can go in and then beat the next team as well. And This could be Palmy's year to win that Super 8, but it's going to take more than that. But I feel like they have the team right now to do that kind of stuff, and to get those wins. Just going through some of the games this week. I was going to go to the Sacred Heart and Grammar game, but I didn't know it was on TV. So I don't go to TV games. I usually go to other games. I just watch the game on TV when I get back. So I think I'll go out to St. Kitts and Mags, because Mags I saw in the preseason, but I didn't see them in their full squad and what they fully look like, and what their last I guess select team was. And so I want to go see what Mags looks like against St. Kennigan's. I am picking St. Kennigan's to win that one. But I want to just go and see what Mags looks like. And Mags, to me, seems like a team that gets better the further you get into the season. And I think you'll start seeing everything pay off, like, once they get into the 4th, 5th round kind of thing. Hamilton Boys and St. John's are playing. I'm picking Hamilton Boys for that. I'm going to pick Grammar for this game. Halafihi didn't play last week for Grammar. I don't know how long he's out for, but hopefully he'll be back, because he's going to be a massive part in that team, especially with this game. But I'm going to pick Grammar with that game. Kings and De La Salle also play. That's the other one I was thinking about going to, because I want to see what Kings looks like as well. I don't know, maybe I might change my mind. But that Kings De La Salle one looks good. I'm picking Kings with that one. The Kelson and St. Peter's, I'm not too sure. It's at the Cage, so St. Peter's is going to have that extra, I guess, confidence playing from home. I think I'll just trust my rankings, and then I'll pick Kelson. And yeah, I'll pick Kelson over St. Peter's with that one. Kings High School is playing Mount Aspiring, and I'll go with Kings High School. The St. Andrews one is really interesting against Waimea College, because I actually think Waimea College is not a bad side. I just saw their game from a few weeks back, and I really do like a lot of their players. And of course, you got Macca Springer, who's in that team too, who plays at centre, but to me he's a fullback. But wherever you have your star players and wherever you're needed, that's where you kind of just go. But I'll pick St. Andrews, but I think that should be a close game. There should be a close game between those two. Christchurch against St. Thomas. Remember last year, St. Thomas beat Christchurch, and Christchurch even went to the finals for the UC Championship. But I have a feeling that Christchurch will get that win tomorrow. Silverstream and Scots is the next one. I want Scots to win, but I feel like Silverstream has this one. I think Silverstream is going to take this game, and if Scots lose by a few points or so, I'm not going to be so discouraged at it. But if they lose by a few tries or so, I'm going to be a bit worried about how that team gets back on track. The best thing I think with the Wellington comp is that once all the teams are in there, you can start picking up your game and really try out what you want to do as a team with the easier team that's in your comp. Like, remember, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but in the Wellington comp, you have your pretty much 4 or 5 main teams, and then you have teams that surprise you every so often. Like a few years back, it was Porirua College, who was really good for a little bit. I Whited Upper was at one point. Tower had a pretty good team at another point too. Hibs did their thing one of these years, and and this year I think it's St. Bernard's will be the team that's kind of that surprise team. And so if you're a top side and you're struggling against top side, you can get your form back by winning and getting that confidence up by playing those lower teams. Like, you have that opportunity to have a rest, and you have that opportunity to go, okay, we're up by 25 points. Let's start pushing to see what we can actually do. Let's see if that works. Let's see what we tried in training and see that if that works, in an actual real game, and it's not just theory and just worrying about that kind of stuff. And so you can really get your systems. You can really work your systems in games and in real scenarios in a comp, like when you're in a comp like the Wellington comp. So yeah, I hope Scots wins. I just don't think that they are, and I think Silverstream is going to win this one. St. Paul's Collegiate and Napier Boys are going to play, but they're playing in Taupo, and this is St. Paul's first preseason game. And so they are going to be rusty, and they are going to have to figure it out. But I am picking St. Paul's to win this one over Napier Boys. I'm going to go to Rotorua and Wesley. I'm going to go to that game. I think Rotorua is going to win, but I still get a chance to go and have a look at them and see what they look like, as well as Wesley, who played a really good preseason against Kelson the other week. And so I'm interested to see how their players are and what they look like as well. And I get to see Rotorua Boys and see what the young guys look like. And they have a very young team, Rotorua Boys does. And so, I just want to see what they look like and see how they're set up, see what they run. And because they're not going to be able to run what they used to with such an old team that they had last year. And they pretty much had superstars on their team last year, and so they don't actually have that anymore. I think Takahashi, to me, is probably their most experienced player, and to me, probably the most reliable as well in terms of knowing exactly what he is and what he can do. You still got Bless on the team. Tama's still going to be there at number 8. I think that's just what I think anyway. They've got new kids, Carlos and John, who have come over from Gizzy, and so those are the kind of players that I want to see. Junior's come down from Westlake Boys as well, and he's down there, and so I'll be pretty interested to see how that works out, and see how they have him running. I saw them on tape against St. John's, and so but it's a bit different when it's in the rain and windy and all slippery and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully on Saturday it'll be really good, and Wesley's ground will be great just for some running rugby. St. Pat's Town and Rongotai is actually a real interesting one as well. Both of them, one drawing, I guess, one drawing against Scots and one beating Scots convincingly, I think, anyway. I'm going to go with Town in this one, but I really want to get the film for this game. I really want to see how they go at each other and just what kind of gameplay that they have running. And just to see some of those boys. I'm picking Shirley to win over Marlborough Boys. That Nelson and St. Bede's one is going to be interesting, eh? Because I think St. Bede's. I think St. Bede's can win this one. It's going to be down in Christchurch, and so Nelson will probably be travelling today. But yeah, I don't know. I really like that St. Bede's team. Having seen them a couple of times now, but that's going to be a real close one. I think yeah. I think I might go with St. Bede's on this one. Yeah, I think I might go with St. Bees with this one as well. Otago, I think, will win against John McGlashan. And John McGlashan's got to do something about losing to Dunstan last week. I don't know what they were doing or what they were trying, but that shouldn't have been, to me, it shouldn't have been close. I think they have too many players in their team that are established, experienced players for them to lose to John McGlashan, lose to Dunstan High School. But it depends what they were doing. It depends what they were doing and what they were trying, or whatever. But I mean, if you lose, you lose, I guess. I was thinking about going to Dilworth and Liston. I think I'm going to pick Dilworth for this game. I'll pick Oreire against Oreire and Tangaroa, because that was another game I was thinking of maybe going to. I keep changing my mind because I want to see so many games. Yeah, I don't know. I'll show up at one of them. And the 1B, St. Paul's and McLean's College is going to be a big game. I am going to go with McLean's College. Howick and Waitakere, I'll go with Howick. Southern Cross and Mount Roskill, I'm going to go with Mount Roskill on this one. Botany Downs and One Tree Hill, I'll go with Botany Down on this one, but I'm not quite sure. Onehunga and Avondale. Onehunga have a team. I think Avondale might get this win, and I'm going to go with Otahu College over Pakudanga. I still think Otahu College might be one of those teams that maybe belongs in the 1A. I'll get around to one of those games soon. I probably would have went to that game if the Wesley and Rotorua game wasn't on either. But I mean, it's hard because the 1B and the North Harbour competition are at the same time, and if Wesley's playing at home in the CNI competition, they're also there too at 12 o'clock. And so, I don't know, just by me travelling up, I go past Wesley, so it's kind of easier to stop off there instead of going all the way over to Harbour and come back, especially when there's under 15 games on at the same time, things like that. But that Rosemary and Westlake game would be a big one as well. I'm going to go with Westlake on that one. And depending on what happens, and if Westlake win, convincingly and show a lot of strength and dominance in this game, they might get moved up to the top 25. Whangarei and Rangitoto, I'm picking Whangarei boys on this one. I'm picking Takapuna Grammar School over Kaipara. Mahurangi College and Orewa College, they're playing for the Murray Jones Trophy, which is like Murray Jones was a All Black, and this is one that Mairangi hasn't won for 9 years, and so they're really geared up for this one, and they have like a pretty good team to compete this year with Orewa and what they have. So it's just one of those things where you get sort of, especially at small schools, you kind of get all these guys all come at one time, and it just happens that they all seem to be really good, and they're all on the same page, and they have that same mindset to win from that school. They have Eli Hallam there, who is their captain. He's like the number 8, really pretty good runner. Tamatea Winiana, who's their halfback, who has a really tidy pass, and I think more of it has to be with flow, as well as flow and timing is kind of like his thing. And so if you have guys like Eli running through, and Ian Thice, I think his name is, who was the open side South African fella, if you have guys like that running, and the flow of your game is on point, and everything is just in order, Mairangi Bay can be one of those kind of teams that can get some momentum and make and score good tries like that. Jackson Gravitt is the other one, who's that fullback, who was another guy I was told is really who's a really good player, really good controlled kind of guy. And for me, it's always going to be like fullbacks. I really love fullbacks who communicate and talk a lot and keep everyone instructed, and he's kind of like one of those kind of guys. And so Mahurangi Bay Mahurangi College is I guess, ready to win. I think they're just in line to win, and so they're looking at taking that trophy back, that Murray Jones trophy, and so that will be a good one to watch and go to if you're around in that area. And so I'm going to go with Mahurangi College in that game. Massey and Manurewa also play, and I'll go with Manurewa in that game as well. I know that Massey is coming back, and they have some really good guys who are there back again from last year. Manurewa, I think, are just a little bit more put together. In the Wellington competition, these are all their last grading games. And Wellington and St. Bernard's have already gone through. But the ones that are playing off is Mana College and Hibs are playing. I'm going to take Hibs in that one. Waitarapa and Paraparaumu College are playing. And that's an interesting game. I think Waitarapa should win, but I don't think it's going to be as convincing as a lot of people think it's going to be, like how it has in the past. Because I think Paraparaumu's got a very tidy forward pack right now, and still have some key backs coming back from the back line that will be able to lead them up. I'm still picking Waitarapa, but I think it's going to be a close game. Aotea and Porirua College. I'll go with Porirua College on this one. And then I'm picking Tawa to win over Kapiti. And then that Wellington and St. Bernard's. I'll go with Wellington College. It's going to be a close game, but I'll go with Wellington College on that one. And so by the end of this week, we'll be able to have their Premier 1s, 2s, and 3s and who goes where. And Toyota College is actually playing Palmerston 3rd 15 as well this weekend, tomorrow. Cambridge High School are playing Tuako College at Memorial Park, and I'll pick Cambridge to win that one. I'm picking Timaru Boys to beat Rangiora in the UC Championship. Also, I'm going with Lincoln Combined to win over Aoraki Combined, as well as Christ College to beat Mid Canterbury. Now, the Southland and Dunstan, because Dunstan won last week against John McGlashan just lost to Southland Boys, that's got to raise some eyebrows about what this game could be like. But I don't know, maybe because, Dunstan's a smaller school, but Southland, judging from that score, just taking the two scores that were from that John McGlashan side, it should be a really close game. I somehow think that it's not, and I think Southland are just going to put a number on them, and then I hope that John McGlashan just had a bad day last week. But I'll pick Southland that one. I'm picking South Otago High School to beat Otago Combine, and I'm going to pick Wakatipu High School to beat Otago Boys 2nd 15. And it's going to be it's going to be a real interesting week of games, and everyone's going to be on holiday. Still games are going to be going on, so we'll still be doing this, and I'll still be tracking everyone as much as I can. I hope my girls go to Tikawiti. My two little girls go to Tikawiti, so I can travel more and just be more attentive at games, and I don't have to keep looking around and seeing where my girls are, playing around in the leaves or whatever they're doing, playing with mud and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to talk about, there's an article that came out, and they're talking about the pressures of, this first 15 rugby and stuff like that, and it's funny that they, for one, they referenced a boy, a Tongan kid who went back to Tonga, had no schooling done and all that kind of stuff, and then they mentioned they didn't really mention my website. They said websites that do top 200. I was like, well, there's only one, and there's only really one high school website, and that's mine. And it's the added pressure, and I just see it differently than everybody else, because I see it as competing, and I am one to compete, and I think every kid competes. Everything that we're doing is about competition, about competing. And so I don't see the difference of why. I mean, they class my website as bad because I put kids on a pedestal, or I mention kids and I talk about them, and I have a ranking of kids and these are all just my opinions of who I think are good. It's going to be different to somebody else, but they don't have a go at Sky TV for televising it. I mean, when those commentators say that these guys are stars of the future, does that kid listen to it and go, oh, I'm going to be a star of the future because they said? Because a guy who's more, I guess, a guy like those commentators are like, well, he said I'm going to be a star of the future. What if that doesn't happen? Is that pressure as well? Like, why is it just Marwan that is mentioned? You know, and why is it that people think that these kids can't handle competition? Because I think kids can. I think most kids, especially the ones that I watch and that I rate really highly, I think they're competitive kids. I think if they were playing cards or Monopoly or, you know, marbles or whatever, any kind of, you know, PlayStation game, they're going to want to win. Most kids just want to compete. And I just don't see the problem with that. I mean, and I don't actually hear that much. I don't hear that much complaints from kids when it comes to rankings. I hear it more from parents about their kid. But I have a feeling that the parents are just looking out for just being a parent, just being, you know, trying to be more mindful of how their kid might be thinking. Not that they've actually asked, because I don't think a lot of them have asked or talked about it. But I think parents just hit me up over, and there's not a lot of parents that do it. There's not, and a lot of them are more just cautious about what I'm doing and my intentions and stuff like that. And I have to explain to them all the time, and I say this all the time as well. Is just like, my reason for High School Top 200 is to promote kids and to get them out, get them some limelight and have them being talked about, because I know that kids are looking for any opportunity, especially those that want to make rugby or rugby league their future. They're looking for any kind of opportunity to get there. Where there's still other people that are thinking while they're in high school, they should be doing high school things. But where the kid is looking at it different, because he's thinking, well, my pro life, if I was going to have one, is only going to be so long. And we don't know how long so long is going to be, because that could only be 1 year. I could only have 1 year, one shot at it to prepare. One shot. That's why kids also take scholarships. And I mean, kids are finally understanding, and some parents as well are finally understanding that being a professional rugby player is an actual career, and that is something that can be obtained, and that is something that is important to kids. Like, people that are same age as me, from, you know, 35, between 35 and, you know, 45, closer to 50. When the professional game first started in 96, and I was still at school then, I was only a year 9, even then, being a professional player wasn't really a real thing. It was something that just kind of happened if it happened. Like, if you made those teams, it just kind of happened. Oh, we'll see what happens and see. But now it's different, where we're this far into it. Now kids are going, no, that's what I want to do, and I'm going to try my hardest to get there. And then they're going to take every opportunity they can, because they know that the window for being a professional player is so small, especially here in New Zealand, where we've got so few teams. We've got so few teams. We've got so many players who are so talented, and that just sit around and wait for their chance and opportunity. And kids know that coming out of high school, you can secure yourself just coming out of high school with a pretty good contract that can also take you through. The other thing is that kids know that the percentages are really low. Last I heard, and I've said this before, is 3.4% of being a Super Rugby player and getting a contract and being able to have a career. So kids are starting to know that, and they know what it realistically looks like. And it's funny that, like, when I was reading the article and I was looking at all these things, I was thinking, well, for instance, the Tongan kid, right? And whoever that Tongan kid is and whoever they're talking about, him saying that he didn't have an education. When I look at scholarship kids, whether from New Zealand, Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, to me, it's more like when you get your scholarship, you know that it is a rugby-based scholarship or whatever it's given for, and you now have extra parents because you're moving away from your home, from your parents. Then you're going into your dorms or your houses or whatever they're called, and then you have your dorm parents there or your house parents or whatever they're called, and then you have your head coach, then you have your principal. All these guys are all in charge and all have a responsibility to make sure that that kid also works and gets an education as well. The boy still has the opportunity to go, yeah, I've done it, when he really hasn't, and he could lie his way through it. But as long as everybody is taking the responsibility to go, we decided to recruit this kid, he has accepted the scholarship, him as his parents, we've promised his parents that he's going to come here and do his job, and we're going to give him all the help and stuff that he needed. And if the kid chooses not to do it, because that's what kids do sometimes. Sometimes they say, no, I just can't be bothered doing it. Or they get arrogant and they go, oh, well, I'm here for rugby. You came and chose me. I'm going to be the best there is. And then it just doesn't work out. You, as the extra parents, are now responsible. And if you've done as much as you can and he still doesn't want to do it, that is not the school's fault. That is not the principal's fault. That's not the coach's fault or the teacher's. That's still the boy's fault. Those parents all have to get together, and the parents from Tonga have to go, is my son actually doing his stuff? Where's his report? Why isn't he doing this? You still have to be active. Just because he's not in your household doesn't mean that he's not your responsibility. You still have to do that as well. And that's for parents here in New Zealand too. If you've got scholarship kids and at school, check them. And tell them, son, why aren't you doing this? Don't play on Saturday. And every coach and principal should say, you're not playing on Saturday. And hold them accountable to that stuff. Yeah, you've got a scholarship for rugby, and everyone finds what is important to their life, and rugby is going to be important to the coach as well as the player. But at the same time, you still got to go, no, you've got to hold that responsibility of doing your homework and doing your schoolwork and doing your projects and turning in your assignments. If he hasn't done it, you've got to tell him, it's like, hey, you're not playing on Saturday, bro. Or no, you're not coming to training. Go and get that assignment done. Then you can come to training. All these things. But I mean, to me, in the way that I read that article, and I didn't want to read it with that kind of intention to be like, well, no, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. At the same time, I was looking, I was like, well, you still haven't given some responsibility on that kid as well, because the kids also have to be responsible in that way. And coming away and going away from your home, from wherever you are, that kid now has to learn some kind of responsibility and find out that he is now his own parent in a way, and he has a lot more freedom, but then it has to be like controlled kind of freedom now. He has to be able to make better decisions on his own and just learn how to do that. Like not every kid is going to do that. Not every kid is going to be like that, but that's kind of what they have to learn. And that's kind of what the parents are hoping that their kid is doing while they're away. But everyone holds a responsibility in that, as well as the kid. You can't just blame it on teachers and the schools and the programs, and especially the rugby coaches. You can't just blame it on them either. But the teachers have to tell the rugby coaches, hey, he's not doing his work. Tell him he can't play. Or do something about it so he does the work. Because he still has a responsibility for their future as well. But if the coaches don't know, then they can't do anything about it. If the kid's just not doing it, the coaches have got to step in and go, look, you're here on rugby scholarship, go do your work. Don't come to training. Go do your work. There has to be more things like that. I also don't understand this. I think people just look at it different, right? And especially with my website, they say it hurts the confidence of kids if they're not featured on my website or on my rankings. And they talk from that perspective, which I understand. But the other thing that I haven't that I don't think they've thought about is that, your son trialed, or those kids trialed to get in the first 15s, and they didn't make it. Are you saying anything to those kids that didn't make the first 15 in your own school? Like, is that not the same thing on a smaller scale? I'm looking at hundreds of kids around the country and then making up a ranking list. Some kids can't even make it in a school of 300 boys. But my one's the problem. I don't hear any parents complaining and arguing when they don't get picked for rep teams. Essentially, like, if you think about it this way, right? The Blues choose an under-18s team, the Hurricanes choose one, the Chiefs choose one, the Crusaders choose one, and the Highlanders choose one. Pull all those kids together, that's about 220 kids. I don't hear any parents complaining that their kid didn't make that one, and that somehow their confidence is getting, their confidence is falling, and now we should cut those teams. Don't have those rep teams anymore. I don't hear parents saying that. I don't hear parents coming out and going, well, because that's essentially saying that that's the top 220 players in the country. Pretty much what I'm doing. But no one's put it out there. No parents coming out and go, hey, Chiefs, you got to take away that team. Blues, you can't do that. Hurricanes, please. My kid feels sad that he didn't make that list. I don't hear that stuff. I don't hear parents complain and people complain about the confidence of kids and their emotions and stuff when they don't make the New Zealand Barbarians or the New Zealand secondary schools. I don't hear that when they make the under-20s. Like, all these things are competition things. They're all having to compete. I don't understand this, where they're coming from, but it's like you pick and choose which ones that you guys want to do it. Oh, Herschel, he's a no-name. He doesn't, he's no one within this business. Why does he get to do that? It was like, well, why not? I don't see you guys doing anything for these boys. I see it from the point of view of, like, I want to try and give these kids an opportunity to be seen. And when I write about them, take photos of them, make sure I get faces so that people know that that's the kid I'm talking about and that they know what he looks like. That's my contribution to it. You can do your own top 200 and put your own kids in and all the other kids that missed out. Do a top 200 that didn't make top 200. Do that website. And then include the other top 200 kids that didn't make it, but then you're going to get complaints that your top 200 didn't include another top 200. Do you see where I'm going with this? Is that not clear? I don't understand where you guys are coming from with this. Are you going to complain when they're not marked up in their class, in their academics classes? Like, oh, he's only 5th in English or maths, or his statistics didn't go well. It's like he's only 7th in the class. Oh, why are we grading them? Take those gradings away. Don't have a top 2% in the country of economics. Why are we having this biology exam and then putting them all on a list and so it's like, oh, this is the top guy? Don't say he's the top guy, because my son also takes biology and my son's not better than him. It was like, well, who said that? My son's now sad. I don't understand this. I don't understand it. And New Zealand Rugby and that don't care. They don't care. Remember when St. Kitts came out, when people were complaining about St. Kitts? Did you hear the Blues say anything about this? Or New Zealand Rugby say anything about this? No, not at all. Because it helps them. Do you not understand it? It helps these guys. They don't care about that. They're happy that I'm doing this. They don't support me, but they're like, oh, cool, someone else is keeping a track of them. We'll just take stuff from what Herschel's doing, and then we'll just figure out which ones we like from what Herschel's list. That's cool. That's fine with me. That's fine with me if you want to jack my work off. Because that means that I'm still helping kids get noticed. Because they're going to see someone, they go, oh, we didn't know about that kid. Herschel was on Herschel's list. Yeah, then I've helped the kid. When I talk about players, agents go and then they start ringing around for, who's this kid that Herschel's talking about? That's why I'm doing this. But if it's just about hurting people's feelings and that kind of stuff, it's like, no, it's not even the intention at all. And maybe if your kid is hurt by those feelings, that they're not, it's like, maybe they shouldn't compete in this. Maybe they're just not competitors. But at the same time, maybe that's just not their best talent. Maybe when it comes to gaming, they're the best that there is. They're just not that great at rugby. They're a better soccer player than they are a cricket player. They're a better cricket player than they are a basketball player. I don't understand. But this writer having a go at me, having a slight blow at me, I was just like, man, lady, do you even know what you're talking about? You guys are having meetings and I'm not even there? Why? Why is that not value? I'm the one that talks to most of the parents. You guys don't talk to most of the parents. If we all stood in a room and all these organizations that claim to want to help these secondary school kids, we all got in a room and they said, who do you know from this room? I bet they're going to know me. They're not going to know you. Because I'm the one that's out there on the fields talking to everyone, helping parents, telling parents, no, don't look out for this. You can't hear that. If you hear this from an agent, it's wrong. If you hear this from a coach, it's wrong. That coach can't do that. That principal can't say that to you guys. These kids are good. Do your work. I tell kids all the time, how are your credits? Have you got enough credits? Do you know what you're doing? But then these other organizations that come out in the New Zealand Secondary School Council or whatever you guys want to be called, having these meetings and I'm not there. And I'm not there saying it because I was like, well, I want to be included. To me, I feel like, well, who else knows this game and this level better? Tell me. I'll wait. Who is it going to be? It's me. Well, you're going to say, oh, yeah, we talk to a kid. We don't want to name who it is. It's like, you talk to a kid who plays 1A. It's like, okay, what about everybody else? Because I talk to a bunch of kids from the 1A. I talk to a bunch of parents from the 1A. And this is over since 2013. You think you got more experience with what kids and parents think at this age? And this age level and at this competition level? It's like, cut it out. If you guys really cared about having grading games and, keeping these kids from, feeling like they're not good enough, it's just like, don't have a 1A. Don't have a 1B or a 1C. Mix all the teams up and just have everyone play everybody. When you win, cool. Shake hands. Oh, where's the table? Oh, we don't have tables. We just play the game and go. No, because everyone wants to see a table. Who's coming first? Who's coming second? Who's coming third? Who wins? It's like, yeah, it's competitive. Everyone's a competitor. That's why you want to play sports. Those that don't want to play sports and don't want to be competitive and just want to do it for fun, fine. Play club rugby or something. But if you want to be competitive and you don't make the first 15 and then you get angry at it, it's like, that's not anyone's fault. I just want to play for fun, but I want to play for fun in the first 15. Why can't I do that? It's like, because those kids, most of them are not just playing for fun. Because they want to win. They want to be proud of that crest on their chest. And they want to be proud because they want to, all the hard work that they've put into it, they want to get in there and they want to do something with it. I think all these guys spend all this time on the gym just to go out and play for fun, or they go for runs and get fit over the summer just for fun. It's like, no, they want to win and compete and be proud of the school that they're from. I really don't get it. I really don't understand it. And, a lot of people are going to have a problem with my rant that I'm having right now. But that's just how I feel. And that's what I see from kids and parents. Some kids are not going to be professionals, even though they want to be right now. Every parent knows this. When you leave school, your idea of what you think you're going to be as an adult is not going to come true. For the most part. There's a lot of guys that should have gone, that you thought, man, he looks like he's going to be an All Black. And he doesn't. He doesn't even play rugby because he gets injured. He gets a girlfriend. He changes his interests. He wants to do something else. He finds something better. Moves to a different country. There's heaps of things that can go on. But you can't put it down to the fact that people didn't help them, or people should be blamed for something. Oh, well, he came in, he just didn't make it, and the school should be responsible, and it's their fault. It's like, not all the time. Sometimes that kid was just lazy. I have seen plenty of kids that are here on scholarship from Samoa, Fiji, and Tonga, and they shouldn't have been here on scholarship. One was because some of them couldn't even make their own first 15, and the second was that they just didn't want to be here for rugby or for education. They just wanted to get away from where they were. And that's the honest truth. And that's bad on the recruiting side of it. That's bad on whoever hooked that up. That's bad on whoever gave them a recommendation. That's bad on you guys accepting it and bringing him over. Because then he can't even play first 15 or second 15. And a lot of you kids and parents that have kids that are at big schools and that have seen kids like that, you know that it's true. This argument is still going to go on to the person who does not follow first 15 rugby or schoolboy rugby, and he hears about it for the first time in 5 years, and he goes, well, something should be done about this. It's like, no one's going to do anything about it. If that's the case, cut all sports from schools and have it in clubs. Then you're going to have the same problem there. You're going to have a trial. People are going to make it. People are not going to make it. Then you're going to call a problem. It's like, oh, it's going to be, that's the son's, that's the father's son. He's going to be captain. He's not better than my boy. And then all this politics, and everyone's going to say the politics of it is that. Whatever. Okay. If you don't want your son to be on the rankings, let me know. I'll just take him off. That's fine. If it's too much pressure, tell me, and I'll take him off, and then so he doesn't have to play with that, or whatever you think that is, that feeling of whatever you think that is, that he has. I think I rant about it for too much, and I hate getting into this feeling in this space because I just want to help boys. Think about it. I've got 3 rankings of 360 kids, which goes up to about 400 kids at some time, some year, of kids I'm trying to help. I've named 400 kids. And that's my contribution to it. If I'm not talking about these 400 kids, who's talking about it? Who's helping them out? Who's giving them some light? Who's making sure that they're seen of and heard and people know what they look like? I rank the 100 best schools in the country. Some of these schools don't even get mentioned in anything. But I'm the one that still puts it out there. I still share from their Facebook pages into my page so that their audience gets bigger. Because I want these kids to be seen. Sometimes it's not even rugby stuff. I have fencing stuff on there sometimes. I don't even watch fencing until Olympics comes around. Sometimes debate teams, which I think is pretty cool, and I want to go and watch a debate sometime. But I share stuff from schools when it's even academic stuff, and it's on a national level. I think, far out, that kid is smart as hell. Yeah, I'll share that to represent the school and that kid, and to make sure that he gets as much limelight as he can. Now, I don't know what your guys' idea of helping these kids, but this is my idea of helping these kids. And I wish a lot of more companies that say, oh, okay, then, we're here to help the kids, we're here to this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, they help me out so I can help them out. Jump on board with me. Let's put something together and we can help them out. Let's do more camps. Let's do giveaways. Let's do educational things that are set up. Universities jump on with me so that we can push your whatever agenda out there. We know that, and the overseas international kids are not coming anytime soon. So let's get as much kids into university as possible. Jump on with me and let's do something. Kids are not just rugby players and just sports players. I said this all the time. You're a prop and you're a biologist. You're a lock and you're an accountant. You're a lawyer and you're a halfback. These kids aren't just players. They're talented at heaps of different things. This is just what they choose to do now. I'm getting sick of these guys. Man, you're making my morning terrible. Lucky my kids had a fancy hair day and I got to spend the time with my girls trying to do their hair this morning. But I'm looking forward to my games tomorrow. I'm definitely going to Rotorua Boys. I'm definitely going to Rotorua Boys in Wesley. I don't know which 1A game I'm going to be going to because I keep changing my mind every time I see the matchups and I go, oh, I want to go to both of them. Or, oh, I want to go to all of them. But this is High School Top 200. It's Herschel. Peace.